know those spontaneous trips you plan with college friends? The kind that feel like a last hurrah before adult life takes over? That's what this was supposed to be. A carefree weekend away from classes, bills, and deadlines. Just 6 of us, old friends from college, reconnecting under the stars. There was me, Daniel, my best friend Brian, Jess, our self-proclaimed conspiracy theorist, Omar, the quiet one, Lena, who always kept us grounded, and Caleb, who brought his guitar and promised campfire music. We loaded up 2 beat-up cars with tents, snacks, and 0 preparation. Jess suggested a place she found online, Pinevale Forest. It wasn't on Google Maps, which she said made it authentic. Just an old forum thread, a few blurry photos, and 1 cryptic comment. They never left. We thought it was a joke. The drive took hours. We passed towns that looked like they hadn't seen outsiders in years. Locals stared at us from porches, not waving. As we drove deeper into the forest, the GPS gave up. Trees lined the road like guardians. Their branches nodded, whispering secrets in the wind. We finally arrived at a small clearing, surrounded by ancient pines. A rusted wooden sign marked the boundary. Pinevale, keep out. We laughed, took photos, made jokes about axe murderers. But deep down, something felt off. A chill in the air. A pressure, like the forest was watching. I found an old photograph wedged in a tree. 6 people, all dressed like they were from a different century. They looked eerily familiar. I should have turned around then, but we stayed. Day 1 was easy. We set up tents, gathered firewood, roasted marshmallows. Brian found a rusted axe head buried under a tree and waved it like a trophy. It looked ancient, like it hadn't seen daylight in 100 years. That night the forest was too quiet. No owls, no crickets, just the crackle of the fire and our laughter. Around midnight I stepped away to grab my hoodie from the tent. That's when I heard it. A voice, soft and breathy. "Daniel." I spun around. No one there. The trees swayed, but there was no wind. Back at the fire, I didn't say anything. But Jess noticed. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I lied. As we turned in, Lena pointed out that all our tents were facing the same direction, east, toward the densest part of the woods. None of us remembered doing that. We laughed it off, but when I zipped my tent shut, I could still hear my name in the wind. The next morning, Caleb said he saw someone watching him from the trees. A woman in white, standing still just beyond the fog. When he blinked, she was gone. We brushed it off as a joke, but later we found small symbols carved into trees around the camp. Circles with slashes through them, repeated like warnings. Jess took photos. "Maybe it's an old language," she said, "or a map." By the second night, Omar started acting strange. He kept glancing into the trees, mumbling to himself. When we asked what was wrong, he just said, "They're calling. Can't you hear them?" We thought he was messing with us. Then he vanished. No one heard him leave. His tent was zipped, his boots still inside. Just gone. We searched for hours, calling his name, splitting up in pairs. Caleb found an old logging sign in the woods, New Sable Ridge, establishment 1873. None of us had seen it before. Jess was obsessed. She scoured the forum she'd found Pinevale on, digging deeper. Found references to a ghost town wiped from records. New Sable Ridge, a logging town that vanished overnight. Workers buried alive, families missing, and rumors of a curse. She found a name, Elias Wren, the foreman. Supposedly led a ritual to bind the spirits of the forest. She joked that it sounded like a bad horror movie. But then she found a list of the missing. 6 names. One of them, Daniel Wren. My name, same spelling, same surname. We stopped laughing after that. That night we tried to stay awake. We built the biggest fire yet, took turns watching the woods. Around 2 a.m., Lena stood up suddenly. Her eyes were blank. She walked toward the tree, slow and steady. "Lena!" I called. No response. Jess and I ran after her. Just before she crossed the tree line, I grabbed her shoulder. She turned to me, her eyes rolled back, her mouth moving. But it wasn't her voice that spoke. "You shouldn't be here." Then she collapsed. We dragged her back. She woke up hours later with no memory, just scratches on her arms that looked like symbols from the trees. I went back to my tent to grab water and tripped over something. Buried beneath my tent was a journal. Old, damp, bound in leather. I opened it. First page. Property of Daniel Wren. My heart stopped. Written in blood, not ink. Then I heard it again. Not a whisper this time. A scream. "Daniel!" I tore open the tents. They were all empty. I ran into the woods, calling their names. My flashlight flickered, and the shadows seemed to close in. The journal trembled in my hands, pages flipping on their own. One page showed a ritual site, a circle of stones. The map in the journal matched where we were camped. The entries spoke of sacrifices, of blood binding the forest to the Wren bloodline. My family. The foreman, Elias Wren, wasn't just a villain. He was trying to protect the town from something older, something deeper. He failed, and now it was my turn. The journal ended with 6 names, each crossed out, except the last one, mine. I stumbled into a clearing I'd never seen. Stone markers, overgrown roots, 6 graves, 5 blank. One had my name. I dropped the journal. It turned to ash. The wind roared. From the trees they emerged. My friends, pale, eyes hollow, but smiling. They didn't speak. They didn't blink. They just turned and walked back into the forest. I tried to scream. To move. I couldn't. A whisper brushed my ear. "You've come home." I blacked out. I woke up on the side of a highway. No tents, no friends. Just my clothes and dirt on my hands. I drove home in silence. A week passed. Then a package arrived. No return address. Inside, the rusted axe head Brian found. And a note. One more to go. Now, every time the wind blows through the trees outside my window, I swear I hear it. Daniel, the forest never forgets. And Pineville, it's still calling. Some memories feel more like warnings. Emma and I were overdue for a break, just father and daughter. So when a guy from my hiking group mentioned a hidden lakeside camp deep in the woods, untouched by modern life, I jumped at the chance. No reception, no cars, just the still air and stars. Stillwater Lake sounded magical. We reached just before sunset. Emma ran down the shore, skipping stones, the water reflecting the sky like polished glass. We set up our tent beneath a giant pine. The air smelled of pine needles and fresh earth. Over hot dogs and marshmallows, we laughed, counted fireflies, and watched bats flicker overhead. But when I looked up, I noticed something strange. Stick figures, hanging from branches, small, human-shaped, made of brittle twigs tied in twine. Maybe 7 or 8 of them swaying slightly, like someone had strung up little warning signs. "Dad, they're looking at me," Emma said. I chuckled. It's just someone's weird art project. But deep down, something about them made my stomach clench. I should have taken them down. I should have packed up and left that night. That night the silence was so complete, it felt wrong. No crickets, no owls, just the low hissing of the fire. Emma slept beside me inside the tent. I stayed up a little longer. Couldn't shake the image of those stick figures. Then I saw them. 2 glowing dots, amber and unblinking, hovering just beyond the fire's reach. Eyes, watching. I froze. Not an animal. They didn't blink. They didn't move. But when I looked again, they were gone. I tried to rationalize it. Fire tricks, shadows. Maybe I was just tired. but the unease only grew. The next morning, I checked the trail cam we had tied to a tree. Just for fun, we said, to maybe catch raccoons or deer. What I saw froze my blood. A frame at 2:11 a.m. Someone, was crawling upside down along a branch directly above our tent. Its limbs were all wrong, bent like broken twigs, its skin pale and thin, and the face, smiling, wide, too wide. I deleted it before Emma could see, but the image is burned into my mind. When we returned home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I needed answers. I asked around, quietly. A ranger, a shop owner, anyone who might know. Eventually, I spoke to an old man at a bait shack. "Stillwater?" he asked. "Nah, son. That place was Whistler's Hollow, back in the day." He told me about a vanished logging town, gone overnight, 1926. No bodies, no footprints, just cold cabins and silent trees. "They brought it out of the trees," he whispered, called it with their voices. When I pressed, he shut down, walked away. Later that night, I found an old black and white photo in a local archive online. A faded shot of the lake. Behind the trees, stick figures, hundreds, hanging like ornaments. Emma noticed I hadn't been sleeping. I told her I was fine, but the truth? Every dream now ended with branches snapping and white limbs crawling through pine needles toward me. Something about the place was unfinished, waiting. I shouldn't have gone back, but I told myself I needed to get the trail cam, needed closure. Emma insisted on coming. We arrived at midday, sunlight flickering through the trees. But our fire pit, gone. Only a ring of blackened earth remained, and around where our tent had been, deep claw marks, in perfect circles, like something had paced all night long. Then Emma found something, a journal, old, weather-worn, bound in cracked leather. We hadn't brought it. She dusted it off, and my breath caught when I saw the cover, Emma Walker. Her name, in faded red ink. We stared at each other in stunned silence. Inside were drawings of the pale creature, sketches of twisted limbs, teeth, stick figures, and one final entry. "Don't listen when it whispers. Once you hear your name, it's already inside." No wind, but the trees rustled. I looked up. There it was, hanging upside down, clinging to bark, skin stretched, neck craning at an impossible angle. Its mouth opened, soundless at first. Then, from behind us, I heard it. "Daniel." My name, not shouted, not growled, whispered. I grabbed Emma and ran. We made it home. I locked every door. Emma didn't speak the entire ride. That night, I found her phone on the kitchen table. It had been recording inside the tent from the first trip. I almost didn't press play. It started normal, laughing, fire popping. But then, 2:11 a.m. The audio turned distorted. Low creaks, branches shifting. Then, a slithering sound. And finally, a voice. Not mine, not Emma's. It said, "Bring her back." I dropped the phone. My skin went cold. Later, I opened the journal again. In the back, where the ink bled, was a date, August 17th, 1983. 30 years before Emma was even born. How was her name written in a journal older than her existence? What did it mean? We moved, left everything behind. No more woods, no more camping. But it didn't stay in the forest. Sometimes Emma wakes up screaming about stick figures. One morning, I found one hanging from our backyard maple. Another day, our doorbell camera triggered at 3:03 a.m. No one was there, but in the recording, just beyond the frame, you hear crawling on the roof. And today, I opened the glove compartment of our truck. Inside, I found a photo, an old Polaroid. Emma, standing by Stillwater Lake, her back to the camera. Looking over her shoulder, face frozen in fear. Behind her, in the shadows, That grin, that shape, watching. And the back of the photo? Written in red ink. She remembers now. If you ever go near Stillwater Lake, and the trees whisper your name, don't listen, don't look up, and whatever you do, don't answer.